Sir Ilyn's appointment had been a wedding gift from Robert Baratheon to the father of his bride, a sinecure to compensate Payne for the tongue he lost in the service of House Lannister. He made a splendid headsman. He had never botched an execution, and seldom required as much as a second stroke. And there was something about his silence that inspired terror. Seldom had a king's justice seemed so well fitted for his office. Throughout Westeros, we see many characters who are forced to bite their tongues, for reasons out of their control. They may have information that would cause chaos if it was revealed, or they may need to restrain themselves from telling another person what they really think of them. But one man dared to speak his mind, and was forced to live out his life in silence. Maybe there's more to Ilyn Payne, a human heart behind his executioner's sword. We meet Ilyn through Sansa's perspective, seeing firsthand the terror he inspires within people. He is grim and silent, only speaking through his fearsome blade. He obediently murders Ned Stark without a moment's thought for his life or the realm. To most, he is death in human flesh, brutal and relentless each time he takes someone's head. But Sansa could not take her eyes off the third man. He seemed to feel the weight of her gaze. Slowly, he turned his head. Lady growled. A terror as overwhelming as anything Sansa Stark had ever felt filled her suddenly. His actions earned him hatred from many main characters in the story. Sansa had frequent nightmares during a clash of kings about Ilyn executing her. Arya has him on top of her list, every day praying for his death. And he is easy to hate from a viewer's standpoint. He killed Ned Stark in one of the most impactful deaths of the story, with his own weapon no less. His purpose seems to be nothing more than to serve the murderous whims of the Lannisters, but we can catch a glimpse of his true self if we look a little closer. In A Feast for Crows, Ilyn is brought along with Jaime to resolve the siege of Riverrun. As they travel, Jaime secretly spars with him at night to recover his swordsmanship. As Jaime tries to defeat him every night, he starts to tell him about his problems and relationship with Cersei, knowing he can't tell anyone. During these spars, we see Ilyn start to laugh and show some cockiness. This is the first time Ilyn has honestly formed a real connection with someone, ever since he became an executioner. While we may initially assume that Ilyn enjoys or is indifferent to his executions, it is hard to believe that the notoriously outspoken and successful captain of the guard would enjoy having his knighthood and voice taken from him. It makes more sense to assume that he almost always kills with one stroke to make it quicker and less painful for his victims. We may not be able to hear it, but inside there must be some internal protest against his life becoming a cycle of listening to others and murder. We are told that Ilyn lost his tongue for suggesting that Tywin Lannister was effectively the king, rather than Mad King Aerys. This fits with the glimpses of personality we've seen from him during Feast, but some suggest that this explanation is actually a cover-up. We hear that Aerys may have had feelings for Joanna Lannister, with some suspecting that he forced himself onto her, meaning that either Tyrion or Jaime and Cersei could be Targaryens. Ilyn, a witness to this information, would have his tongue taken out under fear that he would tell someone. This one piece of information would be his downfall, forcing him to spend the rest of his life killing for the sake of kings, forced to keep this information to himself. This could add more nuance to the relationship between Jaime and Ilyn. Possibly knowing the secret of his parentage and suffering for years because of it, maybe his laugh had a little bit of madness in it. He would also be the only one who could reveal the secret in the series, though it might be a challenge for him. If he were ever to get a POV chapter in the series, I think it would be one of the most interesting. We might finally learn the thoughts and feelings he can never speak aloud, or reveal the secrets he can't tell. Whenever the time comes that we will learn the truth about Ilyn and the Lannisters, it will probably come before he meets his end, which is likely if he stays on Arya's list, or if he becomes involved in the conflict with Lady Stoneheart and the Brotherhood without banners. But when it happens, we will understand the pain in Ilyn's silence, the humanity he represses, and the heart behind his sword.